Hey folks, my name's Ed Trevors. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm an Anglican priest serving in the beautiful parish of St. Margaret of Scotland that sits on the ancestral and on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Gwe. For those of you that have been following me a while, you know that this video has been it's coming for a long time. I've probably offered my sentiments, my thoughts on this general theme. I've been offering them for quite a while. I'm finding it tiresome, exhausting. I watch and consume a lot of media. Yes, I know that could be to my detriment, but it's also part of what I do. It's part of how I function, how I do the things that I do in my career. I need to be aware of what's going on around me, and I'm finding myself caught in this quagmire of villainy, vilification, of trash talking, of just people being mean and saying mean things and being nasty towards others. Regardless of who it is that's saying it, I just don't like it. It doesn't sit well with me. It bothers me. It doesn't make me believe that the people who are speaking actually give one iota about making a real difference. They just simply want to speak into the echo chamber that they find themselves in. They want to say the right things at the right time about the right people. They want to be nasty because they know we'll keep watching. And maybe that's the big thing that I have a problem with. But anyway, today I was watching a video from a channel called Pondering Politics. And I really like the channel from what I've seen of it. I think the guy's got a good demeanor about him. He speaks from a fairly calm place, but he can be, he can be mean sometimes. And I find the same thing on Young Turks, and I find the same thing on Midas Touch, and I find the same thing on Rebel HQ. It doesn't matter where I go, you find this stuff. But today he was talking about an interview that Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News. She used to be Trump's press secretary. She brought Jessica Tarloff, another Fox contributor, a liberal-leaning very liberal Fox contributor. She brought her onto her show to talk about meanness in the political world, in political media, and what does she call it? She called it partisan cruelty, I think was the word. She wanted to talk about partisan cruelty. Now, Kayleigh McEnany was talking about Democrats and how cruel they are to Republicans. And of course, Jessica Tarloff, who I think is just friggin' genius. Very, very well spoken. She says, well, sure. But, we're still trailing behind the Republicans. The Republicans are continuously calling people names, and the Republicans are continuously being cruel. And now you're telling me that we shouldn't be cruel when you're being cruel, and so on and so forth. And the host of Pondering Politics said, he talked about the whole thing, and he talked about the hypocrisy of the Republican Party in that moment, and in Kayleigh McEnany's hypocrisy, and he talked about how thin-skinned they happen to be, despite the fact that they're continuously talking about drinking the tears of Democrats from, their goblets. And then he said, he talked about how we should move forward. He offered an understanding of how we should move forward, and he said, I'm not obligated to be kind to those bullies. I'm not. You're not obligated to be kind to those bullies. So when people tell you, you should be kind to the others, to the people across the aisle, you should be kind to conservatives or liberals, you should be kind to those people around you, even though they're nasty, and even though they're bullies, and even though they say mean things, and even though they're cruel, and even though they talk trash, and even though they vilify you and the people you love and the people you follow, and even though they sink into name calling, that you're not obligated to be kind to those people. It's your choice, but you're not obligated. As a Christian, I am indeed obligated. I'm obligated to be kind. I can't sink to that level. I am told, do not sink to that level. I'm told that I am to rise above. I am to be something different. I am to conduct myself as Jesus would conduct himself. And I don't do that terribly well all the time. I mean, shoot, if you followed me for any length of time, how many times have I used the word asshat? I love that word. I love that description. Now, we'll talk about that on a later day. But anyway, as a Christian, I am indeed obligated to be kind and gentle and compassionate and patient and forgiving. I'm kind to be loving. With all that being said, despite the fact that this is a way of life that I've been told to do my best to undertake, I also believe that not only is the Bible a wonderful companion on my spiritual journey, the Bible is also filled with incredibly practical information. Hear me out on this. 1 Peter writes, "So put away all malice, all deceit, hypocrisy, envy, and slander." Put away all malice, hypocrisy, envy, deceit, slander. Get rid of it all. That's not just so that you can get into heaven. That's pretty good practical advice. If there is no God and no heaven to aspire to, that's still really stinking good advice. You see, one of the reasons we are called to rise above the bullies, and one of the reasons we shouldn't sink to their level, is that we don't want to one day wake up and realize that we have become the very monster we despise. We don't want to wake up and realize that even though I may have a completely different set of values and a completely different set of ideals, and even though I may see the world and the people in it in a completely 180-degree different way, I've become that bullying, cruel, vilifying monster. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to carry that nonsense. I don't want to ever look in the mirror and realize that I've become mean, that I've become cruel, that I've harmed people with my words. I don't want to harm anybody. I don't want to be mean to anybody. I don't want to be cruel to anybody. Living that way. Living the way of the monster. Becoming like our bullies. Adopting their methodology, their strategies. Emulating them. We have to know that that's soul destroying. That is crushing. There is no life in that. There's no light in that. There's no love in that. Sure, perhaps we protect ourselves. Sure, perhaps we show them that they can't push us around. Perhaps we show them that we're the boss. Perhaps we show them we give as good as we get. But by giving to them what they give to us, we end up losing ourselves and losing who we could become, and we end up stealing from the world the gift that is our light and life and love. And from where I sit, from what I see, from what I experience, the world needs all the light and all the life and all the love that we can give it. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray we will rise above. I pray that we will do everything in our power, consciously, to avoid becoming the monster we detest, the monster we despise. That we won't let them drag us down to their level. And that ultimately, the world will see us as an example of what could be, as opposed to what is. Amen. Numultus.